Hello, good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, Adin Moshe, Ma Shlomcha, אני מקווה שהכל בסדר איתך וגם עם המשפחה, ואני מקווה שהכל בסדר עם הסאונד ועם התמונה. Good Shabbos, George. I hope I can be seen and heard and that everything is good for you and your family. Wesley's here. Good Shabbos, Wesley. So glad you could join us. Wesley, I gather you can see and hear me okay? Excuse me for honking. It's just the way I am in the morning and in the afternoon. And in the evening, I guess you could say. Great. Thank you, Wesley. I hope your weeks have been good, Wesley and George, and everything is good with each of you. Tumultuous week in many respects in our country. And I am grateful that we can be together and have a chance to chat before our service this evening. The weather here in Baton Rouge has been really hot. Right now, the less than 97 degrees. And I think it did reach 100 earlier. And the days are starting to get a little longer. Sunset today is at 8:10 p.m. Might be 8:11 p.m. tomorrow. I watch it as it gets a little longer each day shorter. I'm sorry. We're after the summer solstice. It gets shorter. Tomorrow sunset should be about 8:09 maybe. The days are getting shorter and there's less sunshine. Where is the heat index? I don't see the heat index. Oh, right now, the forecast for Baton Rouge is 100 degrees. I think it's hotter this June than it was last June. This June seems to be more like July. I wonder if y'all agree. It seems like June used to be a little cooler and still a little bit of springtime. But boy, this June has knocked my socks off, and I really have to be careful. I don't know if it's just me, myself, or others as well who might be younger. And I'm trying to be careful and stay in during the hottest part of the day. So, big deal. In Omaha, we stayed in during the coldest part of the days in wintertime. Coldest parts were winter, late afternoon, early morning. Oh my gosh, it really got cold. I have been studying several writings on the Jewish views of reproductive freedom. And if either of you would like to see what I've been reading, I'll be glad after 7 p.m. to forward these to you. Resolutions from URJ and an older statement, generally speaking, on abortion from Chabad. And as you could understand, I'm sure, and would expect, two very different perspectives. I won't go into any of this during services. I try not to handle such hot, controversial topics or approach them during worship. But I'm going to suggest to Joel and to George that maybe one evening, um, in person, not over internet, we could arrange to get together in Lake Charles and have a study session and perhaps invite uh, Father Jim and Mother, Mother, huh? What's Mother's first name at the church? Oh, this is terrible. To join us. Yes, thank you, Wesley. I think it's hotter this year. Okay, Wesley. While we're in a chat session, let's see if I can, if you don't mind hanging around for a minute. Uh, George, you probably already have a lot of this, George. So I'll send it to George if I see that George would like it. Wesley says yes. So I'm forwarding this on Chabad to Wesley. Wesley, how's your address start? Why don't I have you? I think you and I have done email. All right, I'm going to send it to you as a text message. Is that okay, Wesley? I don't want you to have to put your email on the link here. So I'm going to forward this. I'm going to forward this. How do I forward it as a text message? Darn. Well, Wesley, if you want to just text me your email address, then it won't be public and I can shoot it over to you. I don't know if George is still with us or not, and whether or not George would like to have this. Oh, it starts Wesley. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can do it now. Forward Wesley, Wesley. Darn, guess you're not in my email. Okay. So anyway, if you want to email it to me, um, I'll get it to you as soon as possible. I hope everybody is well and your weeks have gone well. Oh, thank you, George. Tonight we have a YouTube stream. I guess you were talking about tonight's Temple Sinai streaming service, maybe. Our younger daughter Lainey, is home recovering from her knee surgery for her meniscus and her ACL. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Wesley. Okay, I've got that. Oh, we're on YouTube. Okay. And on Saturday morning, we're on Zoom. Okay. I got a nice reply from Nancy about our texting back and forth, and she fully understands and is very comfortable with our approach. Nancy was mixed up about which platform we use for Friday nights and which platform we use for Saturday morning. And George helped me clarify for myself and for Nancy. And really appreciated your help with that, George. Um, Tomorrow is the 26th, so it's the fourth Friday. It's the fourth Saturday, so I guess there would not be a morning online service. Um, Correct me, please, if I'm wrong, George. Wesley, okay. I'm going to try to send this now. Okay, thanks, George. That's real good. Well, I'll do this a little later. I don't want to take time from our chat. So thanks for your patience, Wesley. I'll just, yes, George, thank you. Next week, July 1st, we are swapping again. You're going to be Friday night, please, George, and I will be Saturday morning. So it's working out well. Um, I will take the liberty of sending you, George, and you, Wesley, both positions. Oh, so next week, both services will be YouTube. Huh. I'm totally confused. I thought when you do the service, it's Zoom. So, oh, since you're doing Friday night is always YouTube. And Saturday morning, since I'm doing it from home here, it'll be YouTube. I get it. Hey, George. Nancy, are you here? I don't know who's here, who's not here. I see George and I see Wesley, but I think we have a couple more people. And I don't know if Nancy is here or not. Anywho, um, George, help me and explain if you could at some point after Shabbos or whenever it's convenient. I don't want to violate your Shabbat. To Nancy, that both services next week will be YouTube. Um, and I understand that that's important for the individual to check in on the appropriate platform. Wow, did I say that right? Thank you, George. Do you know that Rabbi Peretz Kazan here, our Chabad rabbi? I'll be going later this evening over to Chabad uh, for their special Shabbat evening, having the service that doesn't start till 7. So I might abbreviate just a little bit tonight. I hope that's okay with you all. Um, to get there as soon as I can. It's about a 15-minute ride from our home here in Baton Rouge, but it's followed by an oneg. And it's always very lovely, as Barbara and I and Tony have discussed about Chabad quite deeply, even very recently. Hi, Barbara and Tony. Good Shabbos. So glad you're here, and I hope you both are feeling well. And thanks for reaching out to Paul, also, George. I was mentioning earlier, Barbara and Tony, that I do have, as many of you probably already have been finding the resolutions and the statements from the reform movement, URJ, and um, from Chabad.org. I don't have a statement from Chabad.org on the Roe v. Wade overturn, but I do have a statement from Chabad.org on abortion in general. And obviously, two very different points of view, which is not to be any surprise, and that's what I would expect. Um, there's a lot of exchange of ideas going on right now. Well, not only right now, but for thousands of years in Jewish life. And it's all quite fascinating to me. I won't go into this during the service, and I try really to avoid such politico religio issues during worship. But I had mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were here, Barbara and Tony, that might be good for us to have an evening in Lake Charles, hopefully at the church, if it's sooner than later, and invite Father Jim and Mother mm, uh, blocking Mother's first name. Oh, I really am feeling okay. Now and then a name slips by me, and I'm sure none of you has that problem. You're all so young. Mother Boo, thank you. Where was that? Where was that up there? Why did that hide? I can see her before me and her beautiful smile. But I think it'd be a fine evening and we could have different resolutions and statements in front of us and some text from Jewish law and teaching. And as I'd mentioned earlier, the two approaches are quite strikingly different. And I guess I shouldn't go any further. Um, wow. And also now, Mother Mitzi, they have a new rector as of this week. Oh, I can't wait to. Is it Mitzi? I can't see that letter clearly after the M. And I don't have my magnifying glass. Um, well, that's great. So, was Father Jim rector? I'm really confused. I'm confused about several things. I'm confused about YouTube and Zoom. I'm confused about rector and warden. Ah, okay. But I'm trying to see if there's an I after the M. This is quite a chat session here. The old red. Oh, it is an I. Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. So, George, you say they have a new rector as of this week. Oh, thank you, George. Oh, wow. Blow me away. You got a good sense of humor, George. um, so she's a new rector. Does that mean that Mother Boo is no longer rector? I mean, you're telling me this in connection with the church, and I didn't know if you were referring to Mother Boo or to Father Jim as the current rector. And is the rector the head of the church, or is there another name in Episcopal world for the head of the church from within the clergy? There's a good question. So, not the end of the world and not totally pertinent, I know, in the Jewish world, but still, it's nice to be familiar and to understand these things, less for me. Oh, Reverend Mitzi George. I'm reading Reverend Mitzi George. Mother Boo and Father Jim were filling in while they were without a rector. Oh, okay. I understand. And this is now Reverend Mitzi. Um, is it now Mother Mitzi? Her last name happens to be George. Wonderful. We have Rabbi George and Reverend George and Mother George. Wow. We all got to be together in a meeting. And Rabbi George over here and Mother George over here. I love it. I don't know if it's anybody else, but maybe it's because the kind of day we've had over here or whatever. Um, okay, the three words: serendipity, synchronicity, spirituality. Mother George, Rabbi George. Synchronicity, spirituality, synchronicity, spirituality, synchronicity, spirituality. Man, where'd that S go? The other S. I'll have to write it down. Well, we're still in chat. 5 go. Serendipity. Thank you, George. Man. I think I said serendipity, spirituality, synchronicity the first time. Okay, Barry, here's your test. We're going to tell you a story. And then after the story, we're going to do certain other things in this test. And then we're going to ask you some questions about the story. Well, that's the test that I take almost every year over at the Pennington Biomedical Research Institute. And so far, so good. I've been doing okay on it. And I'm sure probably everyone here uh, knows about this kind of stuff and what happens to our memory as years go by. And one of the tests that I'm very familiar with, one of the questions is we're told a story and then they do other things in the memory test and then they come back and ask you questions about the story. That is really fun. Because I'm aware that sometimes I may be repeating myself, for which I apologize. Although I hope my repeating is at least interesting. About a gentleman in our congregation of blessed memory here in Baton Rouge at Legacy B'nai Israel, who was complaining to me about another gentleman, an elderly man of blessed memory. I remember them both vividly, their voices, their names, their faces. And this one gentleman who came virtually every Friday night was like our shamus, complained about this other gentleman having telling him the same story from week to week. And I listened and I understood. And then a week or two later, the first gentleman who was complaining to me about the other guy, he started telling me the same story all over again. And I said to him, "Hey, you told me the same story a week or two ago." Why is that so funny to me? Because I've done that, I'm sure. And I was just on the phone a couple hours ago with a wonderful neighbor who's probably around my age, retired nurse. And she started telling me about her life word for word, the way she has told me now 3 times earlier. And I couldn't find the way to say to her, "Hey, uh, Ellie is her first name. You you've been telling me this now 2 or 3 times. I just couldn't find the way to say it." Uh, that's the legacy of the oral tradition. Amen. Wow. Good, George. Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. Absolutely. Well, for me, and get a couple things together. So if you talk among yourselves, as they say, I'll be right back. Excuse me, please. Hello.
Man, I got a minute here. I wanted to reach out to you.
I'm doing a service. I'm rabbi for Lake Charles,
Oh, nice.
and I'm streaming now. So I'll talk to you after 7, if that's okay.
Yeah, do your thing. I may not be available. I'm at the camp. If I miss you, just voice me or email. We'll touch base again.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
No, right.
Bye. Sorry about that.